Jeffree Star has responded to people who were disappointed with his new reveal video. James Charles has opened up about his usually secretive dating life. A palette from Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson has appeared in the same discount store that Jeffree Star once slated. And of course, it's a return of the cat thing, the thing with the cats. All this plus one lucky viewer will win a lifetime supply of uranium in this week's edition of YouTuber News. Hosted by me, Benedict Townsend, brought to you by PopBuzz, the only website that's heard of Pachelbel's canon. But Destile's canon? That's new. Our first story, Jeffree Star has responded to people who are disappointed with the reveal video for his brand new Blood Money palette, which is all green. Now, he released that reveal video on the 7th of November, and it showed him in front of his $14 million mansion. There was a tiger, there was nude people, all the bells and whistles, but people were not impressed. One user accused Jeffree of just going through the motions. Another person compared it to a late night TV infomercial. Oof. Can we just turn up the oof meter there? And generally, there were enough criticisms for Jeffree to make a whole separate video a few days later responding to those criticisms. And in that video, he said, quote, "I was having a horrific day when I filmed that reveal. I wanted to create a larger-than-life moment to match the feel of the collection. But when I saw that, I was like, oh, the reveal has to be even crazier. I tried a bunch of new things, and a lot of it did not work. And it rubbed you guys the wrong way. It was really hard to sleep last night. I was feeling so sick to my stomach after reading everything." Oh, it truly is a difficult year to be Jeffree Star. Once again, perspective is not a word that appears in the YouTuber dictionary. Now, people were saying, Jeffree's heart's not in it, he's not giving it his all. I watched it, seems exactly the same as every Jeffree Star video I've ever seen. I mean, it's not like Jeffree Star does like flame juggling. He mostly just does like... But, apparently if you're a keen-eyed Jeffree Star fan, this was way different. He also went on to explain that the video was apparently edited by someone he doesn't usually work with, so he did take the time to throw someone else under the bus, which I appreciate. And that's what is to blame for some of the slightly more awkward shots in the video. And this follow-up video has been received quite well by fans. So, all's well that ends well. Now people are excited about the palette again, but if you want my opinion, don't buy it now. Wait 6 months so you can get it in TK Maxx. That's a little preview of the upcoming story. That's story number 3. Get excited for that. Our second story. James Charles has told us a lot about his life, but one thing he's never really publicly discussed is his dating life. Until now, James gave us the details on why you've never seen a public boyfriend. Dating is a very tricky situation, he said to The Hollywood Fix. And he also touched on cheating, saying, "I think if you're in a relationship, you shouldn't be cheating or sending anybody else photos. It's very inappropriate." That's a bold stance, but I have to say I agree. And when he was pressed on whether he himself had cheated, he said he had a very simple answer, a conclusive way to prove that he himself has never cheated. He said, quote, "I've never been in a relationship in the first place to cheat on anybody." Like, he's never even had the chance. He's like, guys, I'd love to do some cheating. I really would, but I've never even been in a relationship. I've never even tried it. He said, "I've been effed over a lot just in terms of people using me, so I have very high standards." However, he emphasizes, quote, "I've definitely figured out my red flags. I know how to be careful." I mean, it must be very difficult dating when you are, as famous as James Charles, or even more famous than James Charles. It's something that we, obviously I have been married for about 20 years, but it's something that's very difficult to deal with when, you think you're going on a date, but actually they just want your autograph or a selfie photo. It's very hard. That's why famous people tend to get together, like John Des and Timmy Steele, now known as Destiel. They were both famous supernatural characters and they decided to become a couple because they were like, well, we're both famous, we know what the industry's like. I don't know if the fans will like that or destroy me for that, but either way, it's all engagement. Our third story, Jeffree Star and Shane Dawson's conspiracy collection has appeared in the same discount store, TK Maxx, that Jeffree once slated. Now, before we get into this story, we have to establish something very weird. TK Maxx is called TJ Maxx in the US. Why? Something happened when they were converting that store to the UK that they had to jump one letter in the alphabet. I don't know if it's like a metric thing or something, but either way, when I'm talking about TK Maxx, if you're American, just try and replace the K with a J in your brain, and you'll be fine. A TikTok user uploaded a video showing a box of Jeffree Star products, including the gloss, the palette, the Blue Blood palette, in a TK Maxx store in the UK, and then suddenly a flood of other users did the same thing, all heavily discounted as well. The Pig Mirror was selling for $7.99. Usually it would be £20. So not a great sign. Now, as I said, TK Maxx has previously been mocked by Jeffree. He once famously called it, quote, the place where brands go to die, which is not the best thing to say, you know, just in a world where your products could eventually end up there. And what does that say about Shane and Jeffree's collection? Does it say it's already dead? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Mainly because it's got the name Shane Dawson attached to it, which is internet poison. Which reminds me, actually, if you're looking to get hold of the Benedict Townsend collection, we've just launched in TK Maxx at $3.99. It's some of the driest and most powdery makeup you can find, but it's cheap. And we all like things that are cheap. It's not made of hooves anymore. And with that, it's time for everybody's favorite part of the show, the time where I look at viewers' lovely little cats. It's a comprehensive segment where we show lots of cats. And this week we will be showing one cat, my cat, Suki. Here is my cat. That's wonderful. This has been the cat segment. Wow. Best edition yet. What a cat! Jellicle as oh! I'm Benedict Townsend, and this is YouTuber News, which airs every week on the YouTuber News YouTube channel and also on Snapchat Discover. If you haven't already, please could you hit subscribe, either by swiping up on the last snap of this story, or by hitting subscribe on YouTube. I'll be back next week with a new episode of YouTuber News Quick Bites, as well as a new episode of the YouTuber News podcast, sound that represents that, and of course a new episode of this show. So keep your eyes peeled for all of those different episodes, but until then, look after yourselves, have a great weekend, and remember, if Der Steal is possible, anything's possible. You just have to believe and tumble enough. Just keep tumbling. Does Tumblr still exist?